Hello and welcome back. In this section, we're going to focus on EC2 and networking connectivity troubleshooting. So over here on the Orion papers, come to the networking section and then click here on the troubleshooting tab. This is going to bring up 4 topics that we're going to talk about over the next several videos. And in this lesson, we're going to start with EC2 troubleshooting. So let's open this up. So here are just a list of some common issues that you may experience while administering in AWS, along with some common solutions. So let's just run down through the list. First, for EC2 troubleshooting, one of the things that you may have issues with is connecting to an EC2 instance. Now, over here on the console, let's open up EC2. And generally, when you're having a connectivity issue with EC2, meaning that you already are fairly confident that your VPC and internet gateway and route tables are set up correctly, most likely you're having a problem with security groups. So you can always just come to any particular instance that you're trying to access, click on it, and then view the security groups here under security groups. You can view the inbound rules, or you can also click on it to go to the security group section and then view the inbound and outbound rules here. It is always really important to double check your security groups to make sure that you are allowing the correct type of inbound traffic that you're trying to send to the instance. Next, let's take a look at a situation where you cannot attach an EBS volume to an EC2 instance. So let's go over here to our volumes and take a look here and see that we have 3 volumes. And let's say that we want to take this secondary volume right here, because if I look, I should see that that is available. So that is not currently in use. Now, let's say that I want to add that and I want to attach it to this Web2 EC2 instance. Well, it should be pretty simple, right? Let's go back to volumes. We'll click on it, click on attach volume. And then under instances here, I'll just select the web instance. But I can't select it. I can only see the dev-EC2 instance. So why is that? That is because EBS volumes must live in the same availability zone as the EC2 instance that they are going to be attached to. So how do you actually solve this issue? Well, you can create a snapshot from the volume and launch a new volume in the correct availability zone. So if I looked at under snapshots here, I will see that I have a snapshot already created from that volume. So all I need to do here is go to Actions, Create Volume, and then I can select US East 1B, which is what the web EC2 instance is located in. I can create the volume. Then see here that this new volume has been created in US East 1B, and it is available for me to use. And then I can just go to the volume, click on Actions, Attach, and now I can see the Web 2 instance, and I can attach it. Okay, on to the next. Cannot launch additional instances. So let's say that you go to launch an instance, but you get an error and it says that you can't. Well, you have to remember that there are limits placed on your account. So under limits here, we can see that running on-demand EC2 instances, the limit is 20. So you may have reached one of these limits in which you're going to have to request an increase from AWS. Next, what if you have an instance but you're unable to download package updates? Well, we've talked about this already, but let's, for this instance, say that you do not have a NAT gateway set up. So you haven't purposefully created an EC2 instance in a private subnet, but you may have on accident created an EC2 instance without a public IP address or an elastic IP address, or it does not belong to a public subnet. It's very possible that you have done something by mistake that is causing this issue. So if you're ever having this issue, always come to your EC2 instance, make sure that it has a public IP address, and make sure to double check the subnet and make sure that it was provisioned into a public subnet, because you can absolutely sometimes by accident create an EC2 instance without a public IP address or provision it into the incorrect subnet. Next, let's talk about where applications seeming to slow down on T2 micro instances. Well, if you remember when we talked about T2 micro instances back in our EC2 section, we mentioned that they have burstable processing. Well, T2 micro instances utilize CPU credits for this burstable processing. So chances are your application is using too much power and needs a larger instance or a different instance type. So again, if you see that your application is starting to run really slow on T2 micro instances, then it might be time to research other types of instances or larger instance types to move your application onto. Next, we have AMIs unavailable in another region. So let's say that we are working in one particular region and we have several custom AMIs, but then we want to launch EC2 instances based off of these AMIs in another region. But when I switch to that region, I'll switch to the US East Ohio region here, we see that there are no AMIs available. And that's because AMIs are only available in regions that they were created in. However, you can easily copy an AMI from one region to another. So if I go back to US East 1, I can click on this particular AMI, go to Actions, and then copy AMI. And then it will ask me to select a region, and all I will have to do here is select the region that I want to copy this AMI into, and it will create a new copy of the AMI in that particular region. Next and last is the capacity error when attempting to launch an instance into a placement group. Now, I highlighted this several times when we talked about placement groups during the EC2 section of this course, but again, it's something that's just really important to understand. So if you get the capacity error when attempting to launch an instance in a placement group, all you need to do is stop and start all the instances in the placement group, and that should help alleviate the issue. So that is just a quick summary of some of the EC2 issues that you may have while working in AWS and some of the common solutions. So I hope this has helped in your AWS learning. And with that, we will conclude this lesson. Thank you for watching. You may now move on.